Meant to do this show last night and ran out of motivation. There's not a lot of motivation in talking to you, gentle forons. And consequently, hey Kenny, I neglected to do the video. And so I'm going to do it now. And what's been going on lately is Pracknoic Stahl has been claiming to be an outdoorsman and a woodsman and so forth and so on. And, next he'll be claiming he's a hardy plainsman and all that, But he's been taking these videos of wildlife, and I'm going to react to one he posted on my thread without permission or, without me requesting him to post that. And that was the video on differentiating coyote tracks from dog tracks. And I automatically knew what the answer would be from the guy. What I thought was interesting is how what tracks have changed over time, because in that it used to be that dogs would not grow their claws as long as they do today when they were kept outside where they belong. But that's a story for another day. Also, I think coyotes generally, I was going to say genuinely, but they generally don't press as much of their weight into the ground because they're always moving faster than dogs usually, and so the indentation of the print will usually be deeper if it's a canine as opposed to a coyote. But all that being said, all that to the side, we talk about Pracs bobcat sighting. Now again, Prac thinks he's some kind of great outdoorsman. So what happened was, after 10 years, or a better part of 15 years, sitting in front of his computer doing nothing and getting as fat as a possum in the proverbial, what is that orchard? Persimmon orchard. In the proverbial persimmon orchard, Prac decided, after suffering a major stroke and all, sundry other health problems, that he was going to start taking his daily walk in the woods. And he calls this scouting, and he has all kinds of names for this. I call it taking a walk in the woods. It's like, if you are having trouble finding deer in the United States, you are doing something very wrong. If you're having to scout for deer on the off season, you are doing something very wrong. You are you're an enormous amateur if that's necessary, if that's something you find necessary to do. Now, going on, I'm going to react to this video. I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but is this a bobcat that Prac has filmed? I say no. I say it's a house cat. I say it's a large house cat. Why do I say it's a large house cat? Well, first of all, I'm not even going to present my own credentials, but suffice it to say, anybody should know they're better than Pracs. Secondly of all, Pracs the guy who likes to cut other people down when it comes to deer. Remember that? Remember Sure Not's deer? Oh, it's not a good enough deer. It's too small. Well, guess what? I've killed baby bobcats, and they were considerably larger than that. When I say baby, I mean they were bobcat cubs. They weren't full-grown bobcats. And the mother got away. And I actually have a picture of me holding up the bobcat like this, little bobcat cub. But the reason I bring that up, and again, I'm not going to cite my vast knowledge and experience in this matter. I'm just going to leave it alone and move on. So I'm going to say that, having killed bobcat cubs and seen a lot of bobcats dead and alive, I would say that's not a bobcat. That's actually a tame house cat that Prac is seeing. And, he, from his mobility scuba, he's looking at it from about 10 yards with binoculars. And, that's what he thinks he sees a bobcat, but that's not actually a wildcat. Now, he might come back and say, oh, it's a feral cat, so it's a wildcat. No, feral house cats are not are not wildcats. Very simple. It's a fact. Feral house cats are not what were they not? Not well, I gotta wear my tinfoil hats. Or not wildcats. Yes, that's correct. And so this is a simple fact of the matter. And so how am I so sure it's not a bobcat? Because the bobcat is kind of hanging out there close to the tree, and or the cat rather, the feline, the house feline is hanging out there near the tree. Pracs right, I believe there's a tractor coming down the dirt track, and he has to cut the video off there because they just caught him trespassing on their property, and they're fixing to read him the riot act. But I think under the circumstances, I've talked about this before, how a lot of predatory animals or formerly predatory animals are good at discerning effective range on human weaponry, and just maybe it's passed down from generation to generation or whatever, but they have developed an instinct for basically discerning effective range, shooting range, and that cat was within shooting range of either Prac or the guy in the tractor, yet it's not moving, and it's not to to my mind, it doesn't look like it's depending on its camo either. So, in other words, a cat will just sit there if it thinks it's camouflage. But remember, he broke open ground in front of Prac, so I don't think the cat is, thinks it's safely concealed at that location and it's not running away. So, those two options aside, it means that it's not a bobcat, because a bobcat would have taken one of those two options, either flight or concealment. And that cat is doing neither. The cat is staying there out in the open and simply enjoying its day, so to speak. It may be slightly feral, a feral house cat or something of that nature, but it's not an actual bobcat or American wild cat of any kind, be it a lynx or a small a cat under 150 pounds, 150 pounds or under. And so this is how one may be certain that there is no, Prac did not film a bobcat. Prac got caught trespassing by probably the landowner of the tractor, and he had to shut off his video. But if we made him continue to, you know, put out the rest of the video, it would be seen that it was not, in fact, a bobcat, but a house cat. Just like, Prac's deer are always considerably smaller in real life than what he claims they are on the internet. And there's a reason for this, because back in the day when there were white men roaming the land, uh, every county or municipality or what have you had a sportsman's club, and all these sportsmen, these old sportsmen, hang out together. Middle-aged sportsmen. Prac isn't really aware of this because he's Polish, and they were basically the Mexicans of their day. And so today, back then, they pretty much got treated like Mexicans, so they didn't know how actual Americans, did things. But yeah, they'd have a big hunters club, a game sportsman's club, and you can go there and play games, get a beer, relax among all the animal trophies and heads and so on and so forth, and talk. And in those days, Prac's lies and braggadocio would quickly be reined in by his fellow, sportsmen, members of the club. But today, all he has is me to rein him in. But fortunately, I am there for Prac to rein him in and bring him back to reality when he claims to see giant bobcats. And that possibly may be some of the meds they gave him. The Pentagon has him on to make him forget all the war crimes he committed. So, as a Marine. So, in any case, I think this pretty much is all I need to say on the matter. And we have some good broadcasts coming up about Macrobius. We're basically just doing station identification with Prac to remind you I'm still here. And, there are going to be repercussions to that. But in any case, it's been a really good broadcast, in my opinion, and hopefully the first of a series in the near future. Hail victory and good night.